Hey lovers, Anthea Spark here, doing a reading tonight for the Divine Feminine and to have a look at what the Divine Feminine is currently going through and what it is that she needs to step out of whatever she's in and into the next phase. So as you can see, the cards are already laid out. And the reason why they're already laid out is because I started to do this reading while my children were awake. And the cards were so powerful that I believe that they represent everything that is going on at the moment for the Divine Feminine. So I wanted to leave them as they were and show them to you before I continued the reading. So these top cards up here just completely blew me away. So the first card we have is victim consciousness. The second card here is patience. The third card is sadness. The fourth card is healing. And the fifth card is have faith. And with everything that is going on with the planets at the moment and with all of these different planets being in retrograde and everything that we've just experienced, we're actually being called to heal not only this lifetime but also previous lifetimes. And the lifetimes are aligning and showing us patterns that have played out within this lifetime and probably previous lifetimes and the lifetimes of our ancestors. And it's calling us to heal it, right? It's calling the Divine Feminine within all of us to heal these past wounds, to heal these lifetimes of suffering and victim consciousness and pain. And so that is why, if you have just had a hectic and intense week of feeling things so very deeply, this explains why. Because you're not just healing things from this lifetime. And with the planets all aligned, it's just amplifying everything. Now, if we look at the cards just below, they match up literally perfectly with these cards here, right? So we have the role reversal with the victim mentality, with the victim consciousness, right? So the role reversal is all about, if you want to look at it in the terms of twin flames or relationships, it's all about the Divine Feminine within you now taking control. Yeah, we started this year, we have a triangle of collective consciousness, right? So at the start of the year, we were experiencing the masculine, the divine masculine energy. We are now in the middle of experiencing the divine feminine energy. And towards the end of the year, we will be stepping into Christ consciousness. So at the moment, it is the divine feminine within all of us that is experiencing this turmoil. She is the one who is experiencing all of this stuff because we know that she can heal it, and she feels things so very deeply. So this represents the role reversal that we're all experiencing right now. From starting off the year in the masculine, we're now stepping into we're in the middle of the feminine, the divine feminine. So it's time for us to reverse this victim consciousness. It's time for us to let this go. I mean, if you look at this card, you'll see so much. There's so much in this card. There's so much suffering and darkness. But she's coming out of it, and she's really embracing it, and she's ready to let it go. So the second card, which is the patience, is all about, and this is about solitude. Yeah. So if you have a look at this card, which is traditionally the Hermit card, she's looking at her reflection in the water. But if you look closely, you'll see that she's also grabbing on to a trunk, some roots there, and she's trying to really understand herself here. She's really trying to understand what is going on for her. Yeah, and that's also in this card too. So she's patiently trying to understand what is happening and why she's feeling all of these things and why all of this is happening for her. And as she sits here in solitude, she knows that upon reflection, she's going to be able to really tap into her belief systems. She's going to really tap into the things that are showing up and why they're showing up in her life. So I talk a lot about belief systems and how important it is for us to understand our belief systems and how they're created the way that they're created. And when we pull out our belief systems from the root and we look at the structure of the roots, then we can really understand them and we can begin to change them. So this card is all about sadness. And I feel like at the moment, the Divine Feminine has just gone through like a completion of expressing this gut-wrenching sadness. So during this time, especially this last week, the reason why everyone talks about the planets the way they do is because the planets affect us so very deeply, whether you realize it or not, as above, so below, right? And what they actually have come into alignment to do for us is to allow us to release suppressed emotions. So suppressed emotions can make us sick physically, they can make us angry, they can hinder our growth. And so it's really important to release the sadness because we want to empty our cup. Now, if our cup's full of sadness and grief and shame and anger, we don't really have much room for anything new or wonderful to come in. So it's a really important time for us to release all of that stuff. And she is really feeling it all. She's really feeling it all. And I feel like she, at the moment, she has needed to defend herself. So this is about the Prince of Competition, this card here. And it's all about defending yourself, and not in an egotistical way, but rather so that you can do the healing that you need to do. It's okay to take time out for yourself and not communicate with people who have hurt you. I really feel like this card is saying that enough is enough as well. Like even strong people have their limits. That, like, she looks really distraught here. Like she's had enough. She can't really take anymore right now. So she's defending herself. She's going to block who she needs to block out so that she can do some healing. If I can just pick up this card. So this card is the healing card. Again, we're seeing the Divine Feminine in quite a distraught state and isolated so that she can process all this stuff. Now this card here is the 9th mirror, and this is all about abandonment and the ability to now begin to really heal the abandonment wound. And again, this card's about isolation as well. So usually what happens with people who have abandonment issues from childhood or young adulthood or the teen years, whatever it is, people with abandonment issues, unless they have all of the information that they need about the situation. So let's say you had let's say that someone if you had a tower moment and the rug got pulled from under you and you experienced quite a traumatic breakup or situation that left you feeling abandoned, what happens is that for an empath with abandonment issues, if they don't have all of the information to understand why that tower moment happened or why that breakup happened, it actually hinders their healing, because this is how an abandoned empath processes trauma. They process trauma through understanding the experiences, like why they have happened the way they have happened. And what this card is showing me is that she doesn't have all the information. she's just gone deeper into her wound because she doesn't have all of the information. She is so in her head and she's trying to understand what's going on, but she doesn't have all the information she needs to heal. So she's really isolating herself, spending time alone so that she can process all of that. So the last card here, which is really beautiful, is the Have Faith card. And it's sitting next to the High Priestess, which is all about intuition. So whether or not you had all the information you needed to heal, if you just feel through everything, if you allow yourself to accept the current state of whatever situation it is you are in, your intuition will guide you with all of the answers that you seek. Whether you speak to the person you need to speak to, whether you get the explanations you need, whether you get to ask the questions that you need, you will get clarity. That is what this card is telling us. Have faith. Clarity will come to you. It just may not come straight away. Okay? So that's those cards there. Then I picked some of these cards as well. So this is the God of Arts. And it says the artist within you is about to emerge. And I really believe that this card here represents the gifts that come from all of this trauma, all of this, like this deep, deep grief and sadness and pain that the Divine Feminine is experiencing at the moment. From it, you will give birth to something beautiful. There are gifts here in this trauma and sadness. There's always a gift. There's always something positive. There's always something good that will come from the suffering that the Divine Feminine is experiencing at the moment. So that's good. Okay, so this card here is the God of Indulgence, and it says it's all right. Stop beating yourself up. A little indulgence in balance is healthy. So some of us may have turned to eating chocolate, drinking wine, comfort eating, whatever it is. This card's just come along to say it's all good. Don't beat yourself up, just chill. You know, it's okay for you to fall apart a little bit. You're experiencing some pretty full-on stuff right now. This card here is the Angel of Self-Worth. You are currently undervaluing yourself. It's time to regain your self-worth. I've been doing a lot of work lately with a lot of women who have been settling for less than what they deserve. And again, this isn't an ego thing. This is about having certain expectations in a relationship, whether it's with a man or a woman, that should just be standard, right? And so as I'm speaking to some of these women and they're telling me, well, if I met a nice guy and he had all of these traits but not this one, then I'd be all right with that. I would settle for that. And what's really important for the Divine Feminine within all of us is that we become really clear on what we are okay with and what we're not okay with, so that we can prevent ourselves from getting into situations where we're not going to find those standard things that we require, like basic communication, respect, honesty, trust, gentleness, those things, so that you, Divine Feminine, can be really clear. When you see that it's not there, you can raise your self-worth and walk away from those situations that you know you're not going to be happy in. Okay, so the next card we have here is the God of Conflict Resolution. You're being encouraged to walk away from a current conflict. So, as we mentioned earlier, if you find yourself suffering as a result of a conflict, right now is not the time to try and resolve it. I mean, if you are given the opportunity to, of course, use your intuition and do whatever it is that you're guided to. But this card is suggesting that right now is a time for retreat, a time for isolation, a time to just reflect. And the last card there, which is a really nice one, is the Angel of Prayer. Ask the universe and angels for help and guidance. And on that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull a few more cards from my Reclaim Your Power Oracle deck, just to ask for some advice. Yeah, so we've all just gone through this really intense shift, and collectively we have been processing, the Divine Feminine in all of us has been processing this intense sadness, grief, releasing it all, healing. So much healing has been happening. So let's just see what advice we get here. So the first card we have is patience, strength. And the lion doesn't give up. The lion knows what he wants and he goes after it, right? He just doesn't stop. He chills when he needs to chill, and then he gathers his strength and he waits patiently. Okay, let's pick a few cards here. Okay, so the third mirror is all about your love and desire and your heart charge. So this card is telling us that it's really important right now to find the things that are going to charge our heart up, that are going to spark our heart to come back to life, right? Because after all of this intense suffering and sadness and releasing and accepting, that it's time for us to begin to feel better. And the way that we're going to feel better is if we begin to find what it is that we really love and desire. And if we don't know, then we need to figure out what that is. Okay, so this card here, Knight of Secrets, it would appear that the Divine Feminine feels that she's been betrayed, or she's been lied to, or that someone was keeping secrets from her and being dishonest. And he's got his finger over his mouth and he's saying, shh. So maybe this card is suggesting that at the moment, while you are figuring out what it is that you want, what it is that's going to spark you up again, and what it is that you love and desire, that now's a good time to keep it quiet. Don't announce it to anyone. Keep it to yourself. Just keep whatever it is that you're working on to yourself, because sometimes people don't always have the best intentions for us. And sometimes it's not just that. Sometimes it's when we tell people, we give the magic away. We shrink the magic a little bit. So this is saying just keep it to yourself. This card here is the Queen of Passion, and she's all about courage and spark. And she, as you can see, she's pregnant. And so now is a good time to create, to reinvent yourself, to find the courage, to find what it is that you're passionate about. Light that fire in your belly so that you can begin to enjoy life again. So this is a really, really beautiful card. I'll take one more. So this is the Wheel of Fortune, which is a great card to get. It means things are turning around. It means that whatever goes around comes around, right? So where we've gone through all of this turmoil and suffering and sadness and releasing and healing, we're coming full circle around to all of the good stuff. Yeah? Grab one more. And the last one here, we've got mother healing. So this is all about nurturing yourself, like really, really taking great care of yourself the way you would a friend or a child. Really, it is the best thing you can do for yourself right now, to give yourself that mother healing. So I'm going to grab a couple of cards from my Illuminate Oracle deck. Might just ask, what's next for the Divine Feminine within all of us? What is coming up next? Okay. Wow. Okay, so the next card, I am the most important person in the universe. So I really feel like the divine feminine within us is going to begin to see her worth. She's going to really begin to put herself first and value herself, and no more putting these external people before us. So I feel like the divine feminine had to go through whatever tower moment this was to realize just how important she is, how valuable she is, to begin to no longer put up with situations that make her feel like this. Sometimes we have to go through the same repetitive traumatic experience to finally get the message. I know that I do. You don't tell me once or twice. You got to tell me 3, 4, 5, 6 times until I really, really experience deep pain or suffering before I get the message. The next card is I love and accept all of who I am. So the divine feminine is starting to embody this. This is what's next for us, guys. This is what's next for the divine feminine, all of us. She's going to begin to love and accept all of who she is. And that is where the power is. The power is in loving and accepting all of who you are. And when you do that, whatever shows up in your life within you, you just accept it. And that empowers you to manifest quicker, to love harder, to live more fiercely, to have courage, because you're backing yourself. You trust yourself. You know who you are. And then the next card is I express my emotions. And so you should, divine feminine. So you bloody should. Enough suppressing who you really are for men, for women, for fear of being judged. It's time for the divine feminine in all of us to really value ourselves, to love and accept all of who we are, and to begin to express our emotions freely. Be done with hiding any of that anymore. So, I'm just going to pull a couple more cards. This is from my Healing Little You affirmation cards. I'm just going to pull, so these are some beautiful affirmations. So I'm just going to pull a couple of affirmations just to seal the reading. Just remember that there's nothing wrong with you, that you haven't done anything to deserve this. You're not experiencing this because you made the wrong move, or you don't value yourself enough, or sometimes we need to go through these lessons to get us to the next phase in life, and we don't know why we go through these lessons sometimes until much later. So I love to learn. And so what would be really powerful if we set an intention collectively to begin to learn through beautiful experiences, that we don't always have to learn through this deep, heavy trauma and suffering. I deserve to feel good. Yes, you do. And I choose to be a kind person. And so important to begin to be a kind person to yourself first, divine feminine. So I hope this reading has helped. If you have enjoyed this reading, please like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so that you get a notification every time I upload a video. If you have any questions, please reach out. And if you would like a private reading, please check out my details below in the notes. Sending everyone lots of love.